Tenemos en este momento 12 espectadores. Si lo desea Gabriela, quizás podemos dar otro par de minutos. Tenemos en este momento 12.
No te oímos, Patricia.
Qué pena. Si queremos, podemos ir empezando o podemos tomarnos otro par de minutos.
Yo diría que vayamos empezando, ¿no? No sé qué opinan ustedes, ¿están de acuerdo? ¿Estamos yendo? Sí, yo creo que ya 5 minutos está bien. Yo creo que ya podemos iniciar, Patricia. Tú me avisas cuando puedo comenzar.
Ya podemos iniciar.
Listo. A very warm welcome to everyone who's joining us today for this partner-led session hosted by the Alliance for Responsible Mining and the International Institute for Environment and Development, IIED. My name is Gabriela Flores and I'm a Senior Associate at IIED, and it will be my pleasure to moderate this bilingual session about ASM in Honduras. We have a great lineup of speakers today, but before we start, a couple of housekeeping announcements. The first half of this session will be in Spanish, and we will then shift to English. Please select the language you prefer through the interpretation button located on the bottom right side of the Zoom menu. I'm sure by now you're all familiar with where it is. Due to time constraints, we will not be opening up to questions, but please do post any questions or comments that you may have on the chat, and we will do our very best to answer them. If not during the session, then afterwards. Today, we will be talking about artisanal and small-scale mining in Honduras, a country whose ASM sector is not widely discussed in international forums such as this one, but where there is nevertheless a very active sector and many developments to be shared, which we are delighted to bring to you today. The informal ASM sector in Honduras is estimated to be at least 3 or 4 times the size of the formal one. And the informal sector, as it happens in many other parts of the world, is plagued by poor working conditions and unfair access to markets, along with other issues brought about by informality. However, on the positive side, Honduras has a mining legal framework that recognizes the specific nature and characteristics of ASM operations, and it also has a formalization strategy in place. And in contrast to most countries where the ASM sector is substantive, in Honduras, ASM is much more accepted by wider society and often seen firstly as a source of employment for rural communities. This past January, a new government was sworn in, and the country's first woman president began her 5-year mandate. This change has generated a lot of expectations for reform and economic growth and for reducing corruption and poverty. However, to date, this new government's position on ASM remains unclear. During this session, we will be hearing from 2 representatives from mining organizations in the Spanish first half, and then we will move to talk to 2 experts on the creation of responsible gold supply chains in Honduras. This session is part of the Honduras Land of Shining Gold project, which is generously funded by the European Partnership for Responsible Minerals, or EPRM. So we'll turn now to our first set of speakers, and we'll shift to Spanish. So please do change the language channels now if you need it. Tengo el placer de presentar a 3 ponentes que conocen de primera mano e íntimamente la realidad de la pequeña minería en Honduras. Primero, tenemos a Sandra Pineda, administradora de la Asociación Minera Minas y Cuevas, ubicada en el distrito de Macuelizo, en el departamento de Santa Bárbara, en el noroeste del país, en zona limítrofe con Guatemala. Luego conversaremos con don Sergio Romero, el presidente de la Asociación de Mineros de Colón, que está ubicada en el departamento de Colón, en la costa caribeña, en el norte del país. Mencioné que íbamos a hablar con 3 especialistas, pero lamentablemente la licenciada Rosa Romero del Instituto Hondureño de Geología y Minas, o INGEOMIN, que es la autoridad en materia minera en el país, no podrá estar con nosotros en esta sesión debido a un conflicto en su agenda. Bueno, comencemos contigo, Sandra. Minas y Cuevas es una de las pocas asociaciones de pequeños mineros en Honduras que están formalizadas. Cuéntenos un poco sobre la evolución de Minas y Cuevas y de cómo han llegado a donde están ahora. ¿Cómo ha sido ese camino desde el operar de manera informal y tal vez clandestina hasta llegar a ser una organización formalizada que ha logrado exportar su oro 3 veces a Alemania? La escuchamos.
Buenos días, es un placer participar en este foro muy importante y representar a Minas y Cuevas, que es una organización muy importante para el país y para los mineros de Honduras. Antes éramos unos mineros clandestinos que trabajábamos de manera desorganizada. En el año 2016 empezaron las visitas de las instituciones y hacer unas propuestas para trabajar en una formalización y organización legal. Me interesó el tema de la organización y nos explicaron si trabajábamos de manera organizada y si empezamos a hacer una minería responsable, el UNDIN nos hacía una donación, que antes era Geomate de Honduras, y nos hacía la donación a los mineros clandestinos, que es el área que ocupa ahora Minas y Cuevas. Los mineros no se sentían interesados, no querían recibir las visitas ni compartir con los interesados en organizarlos. Ellos tenían miedo de organizarse porque pensaban ellos de que podían quitarles el predio, el derecho a los minerales. Y a mí me interesó mucho y empezamos algunos compañeros a recibir las visitas, a dialogar con ellos. Y ahí fue donde empezó INGEOMIN a darnos fuerza a los mineros interesados en la organización, y empezamos a hacer las visitas a algunas áreas del mismo área, a visitar las comunidades y hacerles conciencia de trabajar organizados y legalmente para trabajar una minería responsable. En el año 2017 empezamos a socializarnos, empezamos a trabajar con ARM, empezamos a organizarnos de una manera de una minería responsable. En el año 2019 ya estamos como un 40% de la organización y obtuvimos en la licencia operativa, el traspaso del derecho minero y el CRAF. En el año 2018 empezamos a trabajar organizados con nuevas prácticas, con nuevas técnicas, y empezamos ya a hacer un análisis de la organización. En el año 2020 ya empezamos a producir, no grandes cantidades, pero sí empezamos a producir, que a la fecha ya tenemos 3 exportaciones a Alemania Ya estamos con el pasaporte, con el CRAF, estamos ya con una misión, una visión hacia la certificación.
Muchísimas gracias, Sandra. Es interesantísimo y realmente muy bonito escuchar ese progreso, ¿no? Y ese compromiso, como mencionas tú, a la organización, ¿no? A trabajar, a trabajar en la convocatoria de mineros y, como dices tú, una tarea que no ha sido fácil, pero que definitivamente les ha traído beneficios, ¿no? Que creo que, como mencionas, ahora los compañeros en la asociación pueden ver. Me pregunto, mirando hacia el futuro, ¿cuáles son los retos que ven ustedes para Minas y Cuevas y dónde se ven ustedes como organización en 5 años, digamos?
Bueno, las tareas que hoy tenemos es un plan de manejo a la producción y llegar a ser los mejores exportadores, exportar un oro hondureño para el mejor mercado internacional. En 5 años, pues nos vemos convertidos en un referentes a pequeños mineros, con una mejor producción, con un plan de manejo para la producción. Y nos miramos como una escuela para los mineros de pequeña escala.
Muchísimas gracias, Sandra. Usted menciona que en el futuro quisieran ser un referente, pero a mí me parece que ya lo son, tal vez, ¿no? Y eso también quería preguntarles, ¿por qué ustedes han decidido invertir tiempo y recursos, ¿no? En ejercer un rol de liderazgo en la pequeña minería en Honduras? Explíquenos un poco la razón por la que ustedes piensan que es importante el esfuerzo.
Bueno, nos miramos como líderes, queremos ser líderes porque Minas y Cuevas es la única empresa que trabaja organizadamente en el país. Y queremos ser los mejores exportadores, los mejores productores del país.
Muchísimas gracias. Definitivamente hay mucho que compartir. Tenemos una pregunta aquí en el chat. Alice Bani nos pregunta si ustedes venden el material a una refinería directamente o a través de comercializadores. Tal vez nos podría usted como administradora explicar un poquito cómo venden el material. Gracias.
El material lo vendemos directamente al comprador.
¿Y el comprador sería una refinería directamente o comercializadoras? Es la pregunta.
Refinería.
Listo. Muchísimas gracias, Sandra. Ahora me gustaría invitar, por favor, a don Sergio Romero, que es el presidente de la Asociación de Mineros de Colón. Como mencionaba, una asociación ubicada en el norte del país, en la costa caribeña. Don Sergio, buenos días, bienvenido. Antes de comenzar, cuéntenos un poquito sobre la asociación. ¿Cómo están ustedes organizados? ¿Desde cuándo están organizados? ¿Cuántos son? Explíquenos un poquito cómo está organizada la asociación y tal vez qué tipo de minería practican. Gracias.
Buenos días a todos. De estar organizados, pues lo iniciamos en diciembre del año pasado. En total, ahorita en la organización somos 68 mineros. Deseando desde hace mucho tiempo legalizarnos, ya que es una exigencia de la ley de minería en Honduras y eso nos abriría las puertas a poder invertir más en nuestras instalaciones, a poder optar a préstamos para comprar maquinaria moderna y actualizada para poder recolectar más oro y de esa forma también dar un poco de seguridad a las áreas de trabajo.
Muchísimas gracias. Y cuéntenos cómo les está yendo a ustedes en la Asociación de Mineros de Colón en este proceso de formalización. ¿Qué tipo de barreras se están encontrando? ¿Cómo va progresando este proceso, don Sergio?
Gracias a Dios vamos bien hasta el momento. Nosotros en el municipio de Iriona es el segundo municipio más grande de Honduras. Como usted lo dijo, somos un municipio costero y tenemos en todo lo que es la costa pueblos, muchos pueblos, y en sí en el departamento hay varios pueblos tribales y dada esa situación, la OIT nos exige bajo el acuerdo 169 el llevar a cabo una consulta previa debidamente informada a todas las comunidades del municipio y nosotros antes de comenzar la consulta previa y llegar a los pueblos, pues como es normal o como ya es como costumbre en los pueblos de aquí de Honduras, que hay un tabú, una satanización hacia la minería, pues llegamos en nuestra mente con muchas barreras, pero una vez llevando la información correcta a través de la consulta previa debidamente informada, nos hemos ido dando cuenta que esas barreras existían en nosotros, porque las comunidades nos han aceptado, nos han dado el apoyo y ya llevamos que un 80% de lo que es la consulta previa y gracias a Dios vamos muy bien y no hemos encontrado las barreras que nos habíamos imaginado.
Muchísimas gracias, don Sergio. Y este proceso de consulta tengo entendido que incluye a comunidades indígenas. Cuéntenos un poquito más sobre ese lado, por favor.
Sí, como le explicaba, el municipio es un municipio con asentamientos tribales. Hay garífunas, hay misquitos, hay pech y los mestizos. Nosotros estamos lo que es tierra adentro, no estamos en la costa. Y estas comunidades han sido testigos de nuestro desarrollo, del desarrollo en nuestras comunidades, en la infraestructura, en lo económico. Y pues ellos básicamente ahora son como los testigos reales que tenemos y nos apoyan mucho. No hemos encontrado oposición alguna.
Muchísimas gracias. Y cuéntenos un poquito más sobre usted acaba de mencionar unos beneficios que en su opinión la minería ha traído al municipio de Iriona. Mencionó infraestructura, pero me pregunto qué otro tipo de beneficios usted nos podría compartir.
Sí, mire, lo que es la infraestructura, hemos hecho carreteras. Hace 8 años nosotros no contábamos con una carretera hasta nuestras comunidades. Somos 33 comunidades que nos dedicamos a la minería en el municipio de Iriona. Hemos construido cajas puentes, hemos construido pequeñas casas de escuela, centros de salud y esa es la parte como social que hemos hecho para las comunidades y en lo personal cada minero ha superado y eso lógicamente trae un derrame económico a todas las comunidades y es muy notable lo que era antes a lo que es ahora. Antes nosotros entre las 33 comunidades solamente nos dedicábamos todos a lo que es la ganadería y la agricultura y solamente sacábamos un promedio de 8,000 libras de queso a la semana. Ahora estamos sacando arriba de 80,000 libras semanales y exportando grandes cantidades de ganado, gracias a Dios y a la minería que hemos ejercido en esas tierras.
Gracias. No, indudablemente, como menciona usted, han habido beneficios económicos en Iriona gracias a la minería, pero me pregunto también, ¿no? Pensando sobre todo en esa naturaleza informal del sector en este momento, ¿cuáles serían los aspectos, ¿no? de la minería en Iriona que tal vez no brillan tanto? Cuéntenos un poquito.
Es triste y penoso para mí como minero decirlo. Uno de los aspectos que no nos hace brillar tanto es que aproximadamente un 30% de los compañeros que ejercemos la minería en el municipio no ejercemos la rehabilitación de la tierra y no ejercemos tampoco adecuadamente lo que es la reforestación después de extraer el oro. También, no todos, pero una buena cantidad de los compañeros se gastan sus ganancias que reciben del oro en tomar, y ha problematizado un poco en las comunidades los bares y las cantinas, y eso pues es lo que es un poco triste y penoso. Una vez nosotros, si Dios lo permite, consiguiendo la legalización, creo que eso se va a apañar un poco, porque hay, ya legales hay que ejercer un plan de cierre de mina, y eso va a venir a mitigar un poco estas dos cosas que le comenté.
Muchísimas gracias, don Sergio. Y antes de comenzar la segunda parte de esta sesión, hay aquí un par de preguntas en el chat que me gustaría, que invitaría a usted, don Sergio, y a Sandra a responder, si pueden. La primera tiene que ver con los pagos, ¿no? Y la pregunta de Jonathan Osorio desde Colombia es si los pagos que reciben reflejan los costos de mercado o si reciben pagos por debajo de los precios de mercado. No sé si alguno de ustedes quisiera comentar. Adelante, don Sergio.
Mire, debido a que estamos ejerciendo la minería de una manera pues ilegal, lógicamente no optamos a precio justo, ¿verdad? Siempre estamos en manos de coyotes, y es ahí el interés de nosotros, por el cual buscamos ya desde hace muchos años la legalización.
Muchísimas gracias, Sandra. ¿Le gustaría añadir algo con respecto a los temas de costos? Creo que tiene que prender el micrófono.
Sí, quería ahí añadirle a lo que dice don Sergio, que tenemos en el país, tenemos mucha competencia de compradores clandestinos.
Gracias. Creo que la pregunta va sobre, sobre los pagos que reciben ustedes en Minas y Cuevas.
Bueno, nosotros los pagos los recibimos porque lo vendemos al mercado justo, no lo vendemos a los compradores clandestinos.
Claro, entiendo. Muchas gracias. Creo que usted, Sergio, quería añadir algo. Adelante, por favor.
Quiero añadir algo. Nosotros los mineros en todo Honduras tenemos una gran preocupación. Los queremos legalizar. No es nuestra intención estar trabajando ilegales, pero tenemos un gran problema a la hora que llegamos a las secretarías del gobierno, con nuestra documentación que se nos exige y todo. Llegamos a una línea donde no podemos cruzar, donde es imposible cruzar por la falta de que en esas secretarías haya el personal con la experiencia, la capacidad y la profesión adecuada para podernos ayudar en el tema de la legalización. Hoy pues estamos tomando de nuevo este reto, nosotros los mineros de Colón, de legalizarnos con la ayuda de ARM, y pues no sé si a través de estos talleres o los organismos internacionales pueden ayudar al nuevo gobierno que se ha instalado acá en Honduras, para que en esas secretarías lleve la gente correcta, con la profesión adecuada y la capacidad necesaria para que nos resuelvan los problemas que tenemos en lo dificultoso y engorroso que es legalizarse y legalizar la pequeña minería que en Honduras.
Muchísimas gracias por ese comentario, don Sergio, que esperemos no caiga en oídos sordos. Desde el punto de vista del proyecto, creo que es algo que se está proponiendo de manera puntual y específica a este nuevo gobierno. Muchísimas gracias por sus intervenciones. Hay aquí una última pregunta en el chat, y nos preguntan si ustedes tal vez saben dónde es que el material que sacan es refinado. No sé si alguno de ustedes conoce la respuesta. No sé, tal vez Sandra.
Bueno, nosotros como tenemos 3 exportaciones y lo hemos vendido, ¿verdad?, a la refinería, pues el de nosotros sí es refinado a la hora de exportar, como le digo, enviamos el doré, allá lo refinan y allá nos dan los datos de cuánto es la producción.
Muchísimas gracias. Y se refiere usted a la refinería alemana Heimler-Müller.
Correcto.
Muy bien. Muchísimas gracias. Bueno, muchísimas gracias a don Sergio y a Sandra por su participación y por compartir tanto sus experiencias como su visión para el futuro del sector y cuáles serían las tareas pendientes para continuar apoyando a la formalización de pequeños mineros en Honduras. Ahora vamos a continuar con la segunda parte de la sesión en inglés, así es que les pido que cambien el canal de idioma si así lo prefieren. I think that we're ready to go. Yes? Well, thank you very much once again to our previous speakers. We're going to switch now to discuss supply chain issues. We have with us Antonio Portillo, who is the Executive Director at the Centro de Negocios Hondureño Alemán, which is a private company promoting business and commercial relationships between Honduras and European countries, particularly Germany. The Centro de Negocios has been a long-term in-country partner to the German refinery Heimler-Müller, which has been active in Honduras for the last 7 years. We are grateful to Antonio for stepping in at the last minute as Mr. Georg Steiner, who is the CEO of Heimler-Müller, who was due to be with us today, was not able to join us due to a conflict in his schedule, unfortunately. And last, but definitely not least, we have Jérôme Brunel, who is the manager for Central America and Guyanas at the Alliance for Responsible Mining. Jérôme leads the Honduras Land of Shining Gold project and coordinates the work of 6 partner organizations in a multi-stakeholder setup for the project. He will tell us more about the project and about the state of play of responsible supply chains in Honduras. So let's start with you, Antonio. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. You've been a partner to Heimler-Müller for several years. Of course, we know that you cannot speak on their behalf, but tell us from your perspective and from your experience working with them, why is this German refiner interested in the ASM sector in Honduras?
Okay, the first encounter that we had with Heimler-Müller was precisely thanks to the recommendation from another long-term German partner that we have here in Honduras, which is another German company, that being exporting precious gemstones from Honduras to Germany. They have this closeness to the refinery, and they introduced Honduras to Heimler-Müller, based on the fact that they've been working in Honduras for several years with a lot of success. They were able to achieve different exports, not only one, but several exports from Honduras to Germany under the conditions of fair trade. So that came as the door who opens this world of possibilities to Heimler-Müller, to this Honduras. There was a lot of potential for mineral extraction and mineral exports. And of course, that there was also reliable partners that they can count on in order to start a project of supply of gold from Honduras to Germany. The refinery was aiming to find a reliable source that could be able to supply gold in a continuous way. And of course, they wanted to explore the possibility of doing this in Honduras, knowing about the potential that our country has, not only for gold, but also for other minerals. And they started this journey 7 years ago. When we started this, the first step was to start this approximation with the mining authority, with Ingeomin, with the different several miners groups all over Honduras. And of course, during this process, we were able to identify Minas y Cuevas, which was already in this process of legalization. So that provided a fantastic opportunity for Jaime Arlea Moyle to find a partner that was able to comply with all the different requirements that a refinery has. It was not only the fact that they were extracting and supplying gold, but there was also the fact that they were going through a process of legalization. They have a concession that was granted or transpassed from a previous external company, and that they were even at that time, at that particular time, they started receiving the support from ARM in order to achieve craft certification or craft standard, so they will be able to comply with all these requirements that any international refinery may request in order to buy gold from a source like our country.
Quite a journey, and quite a lot of preparatory work. And how in your experience and from what you've seen, how do you think that has worked out for Jaime Arlea Moyle?
Okay, it was not an easy task, but it's always important to stress the commitment, the level of commitment that the refinery has with Honduras. The fact that the advances with Minas y Cuevas, although were slow, not because they wanted, but because they have to follow a lot of criteria and a lot of processes with the local authorities. It was a long process, but they always show a commitment to Honduras. They say, well, we are a long-term refinery, long-term business. Jaime Arlea Moyle is a refinery that been existing for more than 100 years. Actually, in of existence, they are used to this commitment, and that commitment that they wanted, in particular, that they have specific ideas of what kind of suppliers they can find in our country. They have the interest from the mining authority in Jiuming, and they have also the willingness of an organization, as I say, like ARM, of us, a Centro de Negocios, to provide all the logistics and all the support for them to comply with any international requirement.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you. And tell us a little bit more then about this commitment and some of the specific activities that have taken place over the years. I mean, I understand that there's technical cooperation agreements, that there's been other types of support, for example, during hurricanes, around the pandemic. Tell us a little bit more about some of those activities and what's been the thinking behind them and also the results.
Certainly, Gabriela, and as I say, it's really to admire the level of support and commitment that a German partner, in this case, Jaime Arlea Moyle, has provided. They worked with Minas y Cuevas from the very beginning. They even attended and supported the inauguration of the plant when it took place in Macuelizo, Santa Barbara. Jaime Arlea Moyle say, yes, we are here to support a local partner. We are here to provide you with some funding, something nice to announce to the world that MAPE ASN organization from Honduras is finally reaching one further step. And they've been this continuous companion with the Minas y Cuevas, also through the hard times. As you know, we are in the tropicals and we are hit constantly by hurricanes and other tropical storms. And that was the case also during these past years. Minas y Cuevas has been affected seriously by previous events, and Jaime Arlea Moyle has always been there, to support with financial support, with technical assistance, so their local partner can also improve their standards. One important thing to mention is the Jaime Arlea Moyle has always also committed. They were before the pandemics, and I say, well, the pandemics definitely play a role in changing some of the strategy, but before the pandemic, Jaime Arlea Moyle were visiting Honduras twice a year in order to visit their partners, to see how they are doing, how they can provide further support, how they can improve the relation. And they always been, even with the pandemics, we keep the communication through video conference. We are Centro de Negocios, we've been only a supporter for this relation to step up and to take place. But there's no way that you can say that Jaime Lerle Moyle has been a very right partner for Minas y Cuevas.
And what do you think that they have gained as a company from this experience?
Well, as Mr. Steiner says, you know, this is a long-term business. They wanted to gain, for example, some experience in the ASM sector. The refinery previous income of material was recycled material. They were sourcing gold from doing the recycling and extracting the gold. Now, that was the first time, the first approval that they have working with a primary source gold. And it was a learning experience for them. So they are gaining all this knowledge and all their experience that now, from what I understand, they are also applying in other countries, not only in Honduras. Now they are going to other South American countries or other countries in the Caribbean. So they gain an experience. Although the results in the aspect of amount of material that has been able to be exported from Honduras is not what they really expected, but they have been able to develop a supply chain that very proud, I can say it worked. Minas y Cuevas supplied Dadore went through all the mining in order to get a certification for the export. The material reached Germany, the material was refined in Germany, and it became a final product. So we can say very proudly that the supply chain was successful. And that's by the end, one of the greatest results that Jaime Lerle Moyle has achieved during their time in Honduras. And they are committed to continue, Gabriela. They are not just here for now. They are aiming to develop relations with another group, such as the Asociación de Mineros de Colón. They are aiming to support them, you know, in different ways. And I think this project will go further as long as it's required.
Thank you. And lastly, Antonio, as a company that supports European businesses to build supply chains with Honduran producers, I mean, what kind of lessons do you think can be drawn from this experience with the project and indeed with Minas y Cuevas more broadly for other companies that may also be wishing to source gold from Honduras?
Okay, first of all, Gabriela, it is that I think one of the major lessons is the fact that it's not easy. It is complex. It is very complex, and so that and I think it will be mentioned later, and it was already mentioned by Mr. Sergio. There is still from our authorities to learn more about how to facilitate these processes for the ASM sector. The potential is here, but there's still a lot of regulation. There's a MAPE ASM law, but that law still needs to be improved in very different aspects, you know. So there's a lot more work to be done. And I think one of the that we have here that is not easy, it's a long path, in particular, where the country has a very particular laws and regulation regarding the ASM sector. But something that we can tell to anyone is that this can be possible. You see, we have Minas y Cuevas exporting their material to Germany. And by the same token, we expect the Minero de Colón will also do the same thing very soon.
Thank you very much, Antonio, for ending with such an optimistic and positive tone. I'd like to invite now João Brunel from ARM to join us. We're going to be talking a little bit more about the Honduras Land of Shining Gold project and its key objectives.
Thank you, Gabriela. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning. Tell us a little bit more about the project, João. What are its key objectives?
Mm-hmm. Well, the Land of Shining Gold project is designed to address some of the critical issue we identified during the 4 years of work in Honduras, such as a few instances of formality in the mining sector, a high level of unemployment, bad mining practices, and also intense immigration, and especially to the US. Honduras is also a country poorly prepared for the new conflict mineral regulation. And there is also a necessity to activate new productive sectors, especially for rural communities, due to the country's complex economic and social situation. And also it's important to say that the Honduras ASM sector still has little recognition in the markets. So based on that, the project tries to respond to those issues and to encourage the implementation of better mining practices in the ASM sector in Honduras that promotes inclusive and sustainable development in mining communities. So we have three main goals in this project. The first one is to strengthen work condition and livelihoods of miners through responsible gold production. The second one is to boost the commerce of ASM responsible minerals from Kera, but especially from Honduras, and also to prepare miners, supply chain actors, and the Honduran government to implement the EU conflict mineral regulation.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Gerald. Clearly, the project has some very ambitious goals, and it'd be great, I think, for our audience to hear maybe how things have been going and what has been achieved. And maybe we can start by the support that you're offering to miners, specifically perhaps to the miners that we had in the previous section.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we are supporting two mining communities who are Minas y Cuevas and Asociación de Mineros de Colón. Minas y Cuevas, related to Minas y Cuevas, we can say that the focuses its effort on implementing the sustainability plan, which is like a detailed roadmap made by ARM in a participative manner with the miners to achieve the Fairmine certification at the end of the project. Minas y Cuevas receives technical assistance to work towards compliance in terms of different aspects, such as legitimacy, environmental aspect, progressive mercury elimination, traceability, social aspect, organizational and business aspect, and also health and safety. We are also supporting them in establishing a new business model and further exporting gold to the German market and especially to Heimat. We also support the Association of Mineros from Colón, Asociación de Mineros de Colón. And as Sergio Romero mentioned, the proper miners gave the first step in early 2022 by creating the association to begin its legalization process as a small mining operation. And they also realize a public consultation with ethnic communities to have permission to start the legal process to mine in the area with the mining authorities. So once the public consultation is finished and the result, if the result is positive, that's normally we expect that, ARM will support miners, the association, to comply with the craft standard, offering integral support with technical assistance on the ground, and hopefully also to support them, to export their gold to Germany. And also, we will assess them to continue with the legalization process regarding the application for exploitation as a small mining operation.
Thank you, Gerald. That's really good to hear. And as an EPRM funded project, you're of course also seeking to stimulate sourcing of responsible ASM minerals from countries affected by conflict or at high risk of being affected by conflict, the so-called CARAs. Tell us about that aspect of the project and how is this unfolding?
Okay, the project works to position Honduras ASM responsible gold as a legitimate supply for the gold industry. This is the reason why we have been participating in international strategic events such as GCK in Las Vegas and hopefully next in the World Money Fair. We are also implementing a communication strategy with videos and podcasts that talk about the life of miners in Honduras to better understand, the real situation. And I think that if we have time at the end of this panel, we we will have a chance maybe to present this short video to the audience. We also support international responsible ASM supply chain established in Honduras, especially with Raimon Moyle. So, for example, and as Sandra explained, due to the craft standard granted to Minas y Cuevas previously, and this is something that we are constantly, ensuring that they are complying, with the craft standard. The doré from Minas y Cuevas has been exported since in the framework of this project since December 2020 to the refinery. Obviously, they had also other exportation before this current project.
And finally, you also mentioned that the project aims to prepare miners and supply chain actors, and including the Honduran government as well, to implement the EU conflict minerals regulation, or the EU responsible minerals regulation, as I understand. This sounds like a rather challenging task. Tell us a little bit more how that is going.
Okay, so local dialogues were held in territories for miners, and especially in the Santa Barbara region, where Minas y Cuevas is based. And we also offer some training in due diligence for miners and agents from the municipalities. In Tegucigalpa, the scope of the dialogues included actors of national institutions, civil society organization, and miners from different regions of the country, not only miners from Iriona and from Macrolizo, but also from El Corpus and Olancho, which are other big places where the mining sector is taking place. And some observations have been identified, such as first, there is an awareness of ASM potential, but also an absence of leadership and vision. It is also essential to support Honduras in strengthening, the due diligence processes. There is a need to tackle informal mining, human rights issues, and environmental degradation through compliance with the national normative. We can say also that it also needs to support and resource government institutions and build trust with the communities, not to incentivize formalization. And I think that the role for internal actors, including development organizations and companies, are critical to boost those processes. Also, I can say that the project partners are also advocates at national level, providing a suitable environment for legitimate, responsible, and profitable ASM. And thanks to all those actions, advances have been made with INVIOMIN, which is the mining authority, and especially they define new fees for the ASM sector with a reduction of export taxes. But we hope that, as Antonio mentioned, that we can continue to push forward, effort all together, and to improve the legal framework for the ASM sector.
Thank you very much for such a thorough answer. And I'm also wondering, sort of looking at the future of ASM in Honduras, sort of from the experience of the project, what are the challenges and the opportunities that you see ahead?
Okay, related to the mining organization we are supporting, I can say that Minas y Cuevas made a lot of effort last year to improve their financial situation and to increase their production. It was their main challenges, and they achieved it. Now I think it will be critical that they can move forward in complying the entire improvement plan, which is 50% complete to accomplish the Furman certification. But we are really optimistic that they will achieve this goal by the end of the year. And with the Association of Miners from Cologne, the main challenges will be the commitment and support of the mining and environmental authorities to speed up the legalization process. But yes, the vice president of Honduras met miners of Iriona a few weeks ago, and she understood the importance of supporting such local initiatives to improve work conditions and the livelihood of miners through responsible gold production. So we are also confident that Inhiomin will move forward on that aspect now, and we hope that the government will quickly act. Yes, to promote and develop a mechanism that allow the promotion and responsible development of the entire ASM sector through legalization, formalization, and commercialization processes. And we are confident that our project, but also other initiatives such as Planet Gold will support the government in making the ASM sector an opportunity for the country and mining communities. Yes, Honduras is still in an early stage of the formalization of the ASX sector. There is not a lot of organization at this moment, formal, Minas y Cuevas and maybe two others in the Opalo sector. But ASM players, as for example, the association, the Mineros de Colón, have demonstrated that they are committed to becoming legal and improving performance and access to formal markets. So the government from Honduras, refiners, and also the civil society organization have shown that they want to work together to support the sector. So we will continue to join the effort and make this dream come true.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for wrapping up in such an optimistic tone. It's really good to see and hear about the commitment of the different actors to work towards formalization, even though it's hard and sometimes things don't quite pan out as we would like them to. Thank you so very much. Before I let you both go, there's a question on the chat from Jonathan Osorio, which I think popped up when Antonio was speaking, and he's wondering about this business of whether the business works, and he's saying that business works for the refinery, but is it profitable for them to work with small-scale miners? Is it good business, he asks. Antonio, would you like to have a stab at that question, please?
Okay, sure, Gabriela, thank you. Well, up to now, no. It's not being up to the level that the refinery can start doing business that is profitable for them. But remember that once they assumed this commitment to work in Honduras, they knew, that it was going to take certain time of a period in order to develop a profitable business. And the idea is not only to have Minas y Cuevas, but to integrate other suppliers. For example, as already mentioned, the case of Minero de Colón, in which we know that the production, the amount of material or doré or the gold that they can be able to supply to this refinery is certainly higher than the amount that Minas y Cuevas is providing right now. So from the very beginning, it was seek the possibility that we consolidate shipments, not only from one supplier, but from different suppliers in Honduras. When you have different suppliers, of course, the business can pick up and really reach profitability that are.
Thank you very much for that, Antonio. I think we're now just in time, just on the hour. I know that many of you are probably rushing to another session. We thank you very, very much for your time, for your interest. It's been our pleasure to share with you these perspectives from Honduras. There's some information about the project popping up in the chat in a moment. You can see it also in your screen. We ran out of time to show the video during this session, unfortunately, but you can watch it in your own time. The link is right there on the chat. Please do stay in touch. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch with any of us. Many thanks for your attention, and thank you very much once again. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.